On the average day, we have hundreds of people that, if not thousands, that float through our website at live.perillo.com, at least according to our logs. And for the most part, a few of them stick around at least for a little while, and hopefully you will too. Clint, aka Heidelberg Hero, emailed me because I guess I wasn't in the chat room earlier. He emailed me, chris@perillo.com. Says, I have a concern about security. I signed up for a GoDaddy webpage and set up an account and a webpage, www.clintonmiddleton.com. Thanks for the advice and the GoDaddy coupon. Oh yeah, you use the GoDaddy coupon Chris, or I think Chris1, and you can save 10% on GoDaddy. That's our sponsor. Thanks, GoDaddy. Anyway, my question is it a good investment to block personal info from a Whois lookup to see that I own the site? We tell our kids how dangerous it is to put personal info out there. Does it apply to adults? My name, phone number, and home address is out there for the world to see. It isn't just identity theft I'm worried about. It is mad boyfriends of ex-girlfriends who may not or may own lead pipes or baseball bats. What is safe to put out there? Email addresses? I just don't know what content to include and what content to omit. Can you offer any suggestions? Clint, this is an excellent question. In fact, when I originally registered lockergnome.com, it wasn't on GoDaddy, there was not an option to keep my information private. And I debated doing this, certainly, but back then I had enough of a privacy layer between a lot of my personal info. I mean, the only thing I used for my email address, it's always domains@lockergnome.com, so it's a separate alias specifically set up for any domain name registration, so that if it gets spammed, at least I know that where it came from. My name is typically the business name, or if it's my personal contact, Chris Perillo, or Lockergnome, which is the name of my business. And then anytime I put an address out there, it's typically my business address. I don't give away my home address, certainly, at least not willingly, and not in a Whois lookup. And usually this is like a P.O. box or a place that might be local that I pick up the mail from, a mail drop. It's certainly worth paying to have a separate address other than your home address, especially if you're putting information online and not protecting it in any kind of fashion. I'll get to that in another second. Phone number, I would recommend getting a disposable phone number and using that. And when I say disposable, I mean one that's not tied to your home phone. I have a business line, which I don't really give out unless you're a contact or a friend of mine. I have, of course, my 888 Perillo number, which I do open up every once in a while, but it's not really tied to any physical phone line, so I know when I want to answer those calls, I'll flip on the phone, as we will do tonight, as we've been doing pretty much every day now. So I keep those layers in between me and the world in general. And now, when he's talking, by the way, to take a step back, now that I've kind of answered that part of the question, he's talking about a Whois lookup, and this is a command that you can run. In fact, you can do it in the chat room. If you do, let's see if I can type into the chat room here. Give me a second. You hit an exclamation mark, GoDaddy, exclamation mark, GoDaddy, and then like a domain name like gnome, let's do Perillo.com, and since I already registered that domain name, it's going to do a Whois lookup. It's going to say, who registered that domain? And it responded right away, and of course it's scrolled off the screen now. Perillo.com is already registered to Lockergnome, but GoDaddy can suggest other similar names. Go here to see more information. So that is a Whois lookup. It tells you who that domain belongs to in many cases, unless, of course, they've added that layer of privacy. Is it worth paying for? Yeah, for the average person, I think it is. The reason why I haven't done it is because I put those layers in between me and the rest of the world, so I'm not as concerned about that layer of privacy. Honestly, I think I put myself out there much like Robert Scoble does. We just throw ourselves out there and let anybody know what they want to know in the hopes that everyone's to be trusted. Not everybody should be trusted, certainly. But having that privacy layer, if I had to do it all over again, I would certainly consider that very, very deeply. Just because you never know. We've had, I remember, based on the domain registration, people would show up to the P.O. box looking for me. And this hasn't happened for a few years. It happened when our business was still in Des Moines, Iowa. And people they would tell us, people are coming here and they're looking for you. So in many ways, I'm very grateful that I had put that off. But if I had the option of going private at that point, I probably would have. I haven't done it. But it's certainly something that I do recommend if you are concerned and you do not have those extra layers. You got to be careful when it comes to sharing any kind of information. Email, I'd be worried more about spam, and certainly emails can be harvested. That's probably the one bit of information that if you had to share it would be the one to share. For the most part, if people want to contact me, they know how to get a hold of me. Chris@Perillo.com. Chris.Perillo.com is my blog. I run LockerGnome.com. I mean, I'm out there. If you can't find me, seriously, go to Google, type in Chris, you'll find me. So for me, privacy is a different kind of issue than it is for most people. But anyway, I'm grateful that you used the GoDaddy coupon, and of course I'm very grateful that GoDaddy sponsors our program. I'm sure they're just going to love seeing this video. Anyway, I don't know. What does everybody else think about privacy issues in relation to domain names? Is it really paid off for you? Something that you recommend? I mean, I can't imagine someone not recommending it. But more specifically, what are you doing to protect yourself from people discovering information about you that you may or may not want them to see? This is a very big subject for discussion. It's never going to end. As privacy and our own right to that privacy diminishes with every passing day, this becomes a very, very, very important topic. You never know who's going to be watching. You never know who's going to be looking, and you just have to operate under this assumption. And certainly, the less you put out there, I think the safer you're going to remain, for the most part. Anyway, you're welcome to join us day or night. You can come by the chat room. You don't have to share your real name, of course. You can make up a handle. Of course, Clint is Heidelberg Hero. So hopefully we'll see Clint after he sees that we've answered his question for the general populace. And you're welcome to join us day or night, even if you only post comments on YouTube. We'll welcome you in, even if I'm not here, other people are, at that simple domain that's already registered, unfortunately, live.perillo.com. Will you later?